Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English in Advance. I'm Jennifer, and I am absolutely thrilled you've decided to spend some time with me today. We're about to dive deep into one of the most important, yet often overlooked parts of learning a language: improving your English listening skills. This isn't just about hearing words, it's about truly understanding, connecting, and enjoying spoken English. We'll be doing this together at a comfortable B1, B2 level. So, whether you're just starting to feel more confident with English or you're looking to make your understanding even better, you're in the right place. It's interesting how our language learning journeys often begin with focusing on speaking or maybe reading. We want to express ourselves or enjoy English books. But the truth is, listening is the quiet, powerful hero of being good at a language. Think back to how you learned your first language. You spent countless hours, even before saying your first word, simply listening. You took in the sounds, the rhythms, the way people spoke, and the small hints that gave meaning long before you understood words or grammar rules. It's exactly the same with English. To truly master the language, you must develop that ear, not just to catch individual words, but to grasp the small details, the emotion, and the entire story being told through spoken words. So, why is this skill so incredibly important? First, it's your ticket to understanding the real world. Imagine easily following a fascinating documentary, laughing along with a British comedy without constantly looking at words on the screen, or fully joining a lively conversation with native speakers. That's the freeing power of strong listening skills. Second, and this is very important, listening directly helps your speaking ability. The more real English you listen to, the more you naturally learn the correct way to say words, pick up common sayings, and learn natural ways of speaking. It's like having an invisible, constant language coach softly telling you the right way to speak, helping your own spoken English sound more natural and smooth. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, it builds huge confidence. When you can truly understand what's being said, that worry about joining English conversations disappears, replaced by a feeling of being able to do it and being connected. You feel strong enough to ask questions, share your thoughts, and truly connect with the language and the people speaking it. Now I can almost hear some of you thinking, Jennifer, I listen to English all the time. Music, movies, podcasts, but I still feel like I'm missing so much. And let me assure you, that's a perfectly normal feeling. Listening isn't just about hearing sounds, it's an active thinking process. It involves guessing what might come next, understanding meaning from the situation, making connections between ideas, and processing information right away. It's a dynamic skill, much like playing a musical instrument or mastering a sport. It needs careful practice and specific ways of doing things. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. We'll look at the art of active listening and give you practical tools to make every listening opportunity count. Let's start by understanding what active listening truly means. This is not about having English playing softly in the background while you do other things. While some background exposure can be helpful over time for a very basic understanding, true improvement comes from engaging your brain fully. Active listening means you're intentionally focused, trying to guess what might happen next, figuring out meaning beyond just the words, and connecting pieces of information to form a complete picture. It's like being a detective, gathering clues and putting the story together. Instead of just hearing the notes in a song, you're listening to the tune, the harmony, and the rhythm, understanding how they all fit together to create the whole piece. One of the most amazing tools for developing active listening skills, especially at the B1 level. B2 level is through podcasts. And well, look at us, you're doing it right now. Podcasts are incredible for several reasons. They offer real natural spoken English on an almost endless variety of topics, often delivered in a conversational and engaging style, just like we're doing here. Unlike movies or TV shows, which give you visual clues to help you understand, podcasts rely only on sound, forcing your ears and brain to work harder, which is exactly what we want for skill development. Plus, they are super convenient. You can listen while commuting, exercising, cooking, or simply relaxing at home. They fit easily into your daily life. Let me share a truly inspiring story about Maria, one of our dedicated listeners from Colombia. Maria was feeling incredibly frustrated with her English listening. She could read complex articles and write quite well, and her grammar knowledge was impressive. However, when native speakers spoke at a natural speed, especially in groups, she felt completely overwhelmed, often missing important information. She'd tried watching English films with words on the screen, but she realized she was relying too much on reading the text, barely using her listening skills. I suggested she shift her focus to podcasts, carefully listening without looking at the words at first. Maria admits that at first it was discouraging. She'd catch only bits of sentences, a few separate words, and often feel lost. But I encouraged her to keep going, saying that her goal for the first listen wasn't perfect understanding, but rather getting the general idea, the main points, and the overall flow. I told her it was perfectly fine to understand only 50 or 60% initially. She stuck with it, faithfully listening to 1 or 2 episodes of a podcast she enjoyed every day. After a few weeks, something truly remarkable happened. She started noticing that she was understanding more and more, almost without thinking. Her brain was beginning to automatically pick up on common short phrases, natural ways of speaking, and even how sounds link between words that she hadn't consciously learned. It felt like a big breakthrough. Her confidence grew a lot, and now she can comfortably follow most everyday conversations, even in lively group settings. Maria's journey beautifully shows the powerful effect of consistent, active listening. It's not about being perfect from day one. It's about steady effort and using the right strategies. So, how can you achieve Maria's success and make the absolute most of podcasts for active listening? Here's a clear step-by-step approach you can use starting today. Choose what interests you. First and foremost, choose a podcast that genuinely catches your interest. If the topic bores you, your brain will struggle to stay focused, and learning will feel like a chore. Do you love true crime? Look for a true crime podcast in English. Are you fascinated by technology or history? Great, there are countless options. The more you enjoy the content, the more motivated you'll be to listen actively and regularly. This is perhaps the most important first step. Turn learning into enjoyment. First, listen. Get the main idea. For your first listen, try not to look at any words on the screen. Just listen. Your main goal here is to understand the main ideas. Don't worry if you miss individual words or even entire phrases. It's absolutely okay. Your brain is doing important work by simply processing the flow of spoken English. Ask yourself, what is the speaker generally talking about? What are the main points they are trying to share? What's the main message or story being told? Let's try a quick practice right now. I'm going to read a short paragraph and I want you to simply listen for the main idea. Don't worry about every single word, just try to get the overall meaning. The sheer complexity of the human brain is amazing. With billions of brain cells and trillions of connections, it controls every thought, feeling, memory, and movement. Scientists are still figuring out its secrets, yet what we do know points to an organ that can adapt and learn incredibly well. Its ability to process vast amounts of information, learn new skills, and even recover from injury makes it probably the most complex and powerful living machine we know. Now, without overthinking individual words, what was the main topic or main idea of that paragraph? Take a quiet moment to think about your answer. If you thought something like, it's about how amazing and complex the human brain is, or the paragraph describes the incredible power and mystery of the brain, then you've successfully grasped the main idea. Excellent work! This exercise shows that you don't need to understand every single word to comprehend the core message. Second, listen. Go for details with the transcript. After your first listen, if the words are available, now is the time to use them. Listen again to the same episode, but this time, follow along with the words on the screen. This is where the powerful connection between what you hear and what you see makes your understanding stronger. As you listen and read, actively highlight or circle any new words, interesting phrases, or expressions that seem important or that you didn't understand during your first listen. If there are sentences or parts you struggled with, pause the audio, reread the text, and try to understand their meaning with the help of the written words. This focused attention on specific details is crucial for learning new words and understanding more deeply. Let's try another focused practice. I'll read a sentence, and this time, I want you to focus on a specific piece of information. Despite the sudden downpour, the determined hikers continued their difficult climb towards the top, their spirits remarkably happy. Now, what specific word did I use to describe the type of rain? If you heard downpour, you've successfully found that key detail. Kreuzach. That's a great example of active listening for specific words. And as a bonus, what did difficult suggest about their climb? It meant it was very hard and needed a lot of effort. See how looking at those details can significantly improve your overall understanding. A very important part of active listening, especially as you advance to B1, B2 is recognizing and understanding common phrases, idioms, and two-word verbs. English speakers often use these, and they can be incredibly confusing if you try to understand them word for word. For instance, if someone casually says, "It's raining cats and dogs," they absolutely do not mean that animals are falling from the sky. They mean it's raining very, very heavily. When you find these expressions in a podcast, make a conscious note of them. Pay close attention to how they are used within the conversation. Understanding the situation is vital for naturally grasping the language. Consider the common two-word verb to get along with someone. If you break down get and along separately, the meaning isn't immediately clear. But when you hear it in a sentence like, "I really get along with my new colleague. We have a lot in common," you immediately understand it means to have a good, friendly relationship with someone. Podcasts, because they feature real, unplanned speech, are full of these natural expressions. Actively listening for them and trying to guess their meaning from the situation will greatly speed up your understanding of natural English. Another incredibly powerful way to practice active listening is what I call predictive listening. As you listen, actively try to guess what the speaker might say next. Based on the topic, the flow of the conversation and the situation, what words, phrases, or ideas do you expect to hear? This keeps your brain incredibly engaged and helps you build stronger connections between ideas, much like guessing the next move in a chess game. For example, if someone is talking about environmental issues, you might naturally expect to hear words like sustainability, climate change, pollution, or conservation. If they're discussing a medical breakthrough, words like research, cure, treatment, or discovery might come to mind. This way of thinking ahead prepares your brain for the incoming information. Let's try a quick predictive listening exercise right now. I'm going to start a sentence and I want you to take a moment to consider how it might logically finish. Don't say it aloud, just think about it. After years of dedicated practice and unwavering commitment, she finally achieved her. What word or phrase did you anticipate? Perhaps goal, dream, success, ambition, or objective. All of those are perfectly logical and very relevant ways to complete the sentence. This simple yet effective exercise trains your brain to anticipate and connect ideas, which is absolutely vital for smooth, real-time understanding in lively conversations. Now let's talk about something truly fascinating, the importance of intonation and stress. English is known as a stress-timed language, meaning that some parts of words and some words are said with more emphasis or stress than others. This stress isn't just a choice of style, it can completely change the meaning of a sentence. For example, consider the seemingly simple sentence, I didn't say she stole the money. If I say, I didn't say she stole the money, by putting strong emphasis on didn't, I'm suggesting that someone else said it, or that I'm strongly denying having said it at all. If I say, I didn't say she stole the money, by putting emphasis on she, I'm suggesting that perhaps someone else stole it, not her. And if I say, I didn't say she stole the money, by putting emphasis on money, I'm hinting that she might have stolen something else, but not money. These subtle changes in how we speak are incredibly powerful for showing true meaning and emotion, and podcasts, with their natural, unplanned speech, are perfect for training your ear to notice these patterns. Here's a quick practice for you. Listen to these two sentences and tell me if they have the same meaning based only on the emphasis. Sentence 1, he can swim. Sentence 2, he can swim. No, they don't mean exactly the same thing. In sentence 1, he can swim. The strong emphasis on can suggests a reply to someone doubting his ability. It's like saying, are you sure he's capable of swimming? And the answer is a firm, yes, he can swim. In sentence 2, he can swim. The emphasis on swim is more neutral, simply stating his general ability. You will find these kinds of subtle yet important differences all the time in spoken English, and actively paying attention to them will significantly improve your understanding. Another helpful listening strategy at the B1. B2 level involves being able to follow longer stories and clearly identify cause and effect relationships. Whether you're listening to a personal story in a podcast, a news report, or a short lesson, stories and explanations generally follow a logical order. Speakers use specific connecting words and phrases to act as signposts, guiding you through their ideas and showing how different parts of their message are linked. Words like therefore, consequently, as a result, however, on the other hand, in addition, furthermore, meanwhile, and despite are very helpful clues that tell you how ideas are connected, whether it's a consequence, a contrast, an addition, or a series of events. Let me tell you a short story, and I want you to really focus on how things cause other things to happen within it. David had been carefully saving money for years, often giving up small luxuries like daily coffees and sudden purchases. He strongly wanted to buy his own small apartment in the city. A sudden, unexpected job promotion meant a significant increase in his income. Consequently, he was able to reach his savings goal much faster than he expected. However, because of a sudden rise in housing prices in his chosen neighborhood, he decided to look for homes in nearby areas. As a result, he found an even larger apartment just a bit further out, which he realized was a much better fit for his long-term plans. What was the cause of David reaching his savings goal much faster? It was the sudden, unexpected job promotion. And what was the effect of the rise in housing prices in his original chosen neighborhood? He decided to look for homes in nearby areas. Notice how words like consequently, however, and as a result acted as important clues, helping you understand the story and the connections between events. Don't ever feel ashamed or lazy for listening to the same podcast episode multiple times. In fact, it's a very effective way to learn. The first time, you might focus purely on the main idea. The second time, you can focus on new words and phrases. The third time, you might pay closer attention to how the speaker's voice changes, their speed, or how they arrange their arguments. Each time you listen will show you new layers of understanding, like peeling back the layers of an onion to discover more depth and flavor. And speaking of repeating things, another incredibly powerful active listening technique involves summarizing. After listening to a specific part or even an entire episode, try to summarize it out loud in your own words. This isn't just about remembering information, it forces your brain to actively process, organize, and then speak the information. It's a fantastic way to make your understanding stronger and smoothly connect your listening practice with speaking practice. Don't worry about giving a perfect, grammatically correct summary. The goal is simply to capture the main points and say them clearly. For instance, after listening to a podcast about the benefits of being mindful, you could try to summarize it like this. The podcast explained how practicing mindfulness by focusing on the present moment and our breathing can reduce stress and improve overall well-being. It emphasized that even short daily practices can make a big difference. Here's a small challenge for you right now. Think about something interesting or a key strategy you've learned from this very podcast episode today. How would you summarize it in just 1 or 2 sentences? Take a moment to think about that in your mind. This exercise is not just about remembering, it's about actively reorganizing and making the information your own, which is a truly powerful way to improve your overall understanding and memory. Another excellent technique for greatly improving both your listening and speaking, especially at the B1 level. B2 level is called shadowing. This involves listening to a speaker and trying to repeat what they say almost at the same time, like a very close echo. You're not just repeating the words, you're actively trying to copy their pronunciation, their voice patterns, their rhythm, and even their pauses. It might feel a little strange or silly at first, but it is incredibly effective for combining what you hear with how you speak. To practice shadowing, pick a short part from a podcast, perhaps 20 to 30 seconds. Listen to it once or twice, then play it again and try to shadow it, speaking along with the original audio as closely as you can. Don't aim for perfect copying. The main goal is to get your mouth, ears, and brain working together. This technique brilliantly connects passive listening with active language use. Let's try a very brief shadowing exercise together. I'm going to say a sentence and I want you to try to say it right after me, copying my rhythm, voice, and speed as closely as you possibly can. The early bird catches the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. Pause for you to repeat, allowing slightly more time than the sentence takes to say. Did you try it? Even if it felt a little awkward or you had trouble with a few words, you just did a remarkably powerful listening and speaking exercise. Make this a regular practice with short, manageable phrases from any English podcasts or videos you enjoy. Beyond dedicated podcast listening, think about how you can easily add English listening into more parts of your daily life. Listen to English music, and if you're feeling adventurous, try to understand the lyrics before looking them up. Watch English language news reports, documentaries, or even reality TV shows. Even short, active moments of real English exposure throughout your day can add up to significant progress over time. The fundamental keys are regular practice and active involvement. If you ever find a podcast or audio content too fast for your current level, remember that many podcast players and video platforms offer the option to adjust the playback speed. Don't hesitate to slow it down to 0.75x or even 0.8x at first. As your understanding naturally improves, you can gradually increase the speed. This isn't cheating. It's a smart tool to help you bridge the gap between struggling and comfortable listening. It allows you to process information at a speed that helps learning rather than overwhelming you. Also, as you become a more skilled listener, begin to pay attention to filler words and words that show hesitation that native speakers often use. These are words like uh, like, or I mean. These aren't always explicitly taught in textbooks, but they are very common in natural, spontaneous conversation. Recognizing them helps you understand that they are often not important for the main meaning of a sentence and can help you filter out unnecessary sound as you focus on the main message. It's like learning the little vocal habits and quirks that make up natural speech. For example, if someone says, well, I think the plan, is to start next week, you can easily understand that the main message is the plan is to start next week. And the filler words are simply part of the natural process of thinking and speaking. Finally, an even more advanced listening strategy at the B1, B2 level is to consciously listen for implied meaning or tone. Sometimes what a speaker says is less important than how they say it. Is their tone enthusiastic, sarcastic, truly serious, or perhaps subtly funny? The speaker's voice changes their speed of speaking, and their volume all add significantly to the emotion and implied message. This is a skill that develops with a lot of listening, but actively trying to identify the speaker's mood or attitude will greatly improve your understanding, particularly in social and complex situations. For instance, if someone sighs and says, "Oh, great," with a drawn out sarcastic tone, they almost certainly mean the complete opposite of great. They're showing frustration or disappointment. Learning to keenly notice these voice clues is a sign of advanced listening and a crucial step towards true fluency. To bring our discussion to a close, remember that improving your English listening is an ongoing journey, a long race rather than a quick dash. It demands consistent effort and patience, but I promise you, it is an incredibly rewarding experience. By actively engaging with rich audio content like podcasts, by carefully focusing on the main ideas before looking at details, by using transcripts effectively, recognizing common expressions, practicing predictive listening and shadowing, and truly paying attention to voice changes and implied meaning, you will undoubtedly make great progress. Remember Maria's inspiring story. Sticking with it and practicing smartly truly do pay off. So, for your personal homework this week, I strongly encourage each and every one of you to choose an English podcast episode that genuinely sparks your interest. Spend some time listening to it using the multi-step techniques we've explored today. First, just for the main idea, then with the words on the screen for deeper detail, and perhaps even try a short shadowing exercise with a favorite phrase or sentence. Afterward, challenge yourself to summarize what you heard, either silently in your head or, even better, by speaking it aloud to yourself. Thank you so very much for joining me today on English in Advance. I sincerely hope this episode has given you valuable insights, practical strategies, and new motivation to greatly improve your English listening skills. Keep practicing, keep listening, and I'll be right back here next time with more tips and tricks to further help you on your incredible English learning adventure. Until then, happy listening and make every sound count.